Let's say all black women suddenly started liking dudes who got breast implants. I'm going to just spitball a number.
Okay.
65% of black men will be walking around with titties because they can't get coochie without them. They are going to do whatever is the norm to get them the most amount of women they can.
You know, whereas guys are going to be more simple because our sex drive goes past. I think our sex drive is like a switch. You know, you get turned on like a light switch. A girl is like a dial where it's like it takes like a time, but it takes basically a little bit of time of tuning, but theirs is more gradual. So it's like you got to work for it with them. A dude can see a pair of titties and be like, oh, you know, I'm ready. I'm already hard. Let's get it done.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of how like our sexual drives work, and that's the difference.
That's a fascinating perspective. I like that analogy as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, if you take it to, if you just took that to the extreme, that's like if you have a man versus a woman, right? Mm-hmm. If the man said, like, just put it on both extreme ends of the spectrum. The man says, I always have sex on the first date. How does he feel?
He feels really good.
He feels really good.
He feels accomplished. Yeah.
Typically, he feels pretty good.
Yeah.
The woman says, I always have sex on the first date. How does she probably feel?
She's going to start to feel really bad about that.
Yeah.
So, wow.
That's
Why though? Why must she feel
doesn't
bad
have
about
to.
it?
I don't think she.
Why must we
Women are doing it
define
pretty
women
heavily
as
right
No.
now.
Yeah, I was
No,
about to
no.
say, there's some girls
I
that
don't
want to
think they
smash
care.
for like legitimately. I think.
Yeah, they don't
I think
feel
that
good.
gap is much.
They don't feel
different
good. Spoiler alert.
nowadays.
I don't think it's
And
a
even
bad
then,
thing.
It was just not
Not good enough
highlighted
to
by
care.
media. Yeah, I don't know. It's just true.
But I feel like other women would judge other women because off of that though, because like, because you got to remember, like a lot of girls when they get in relationships, they don't do it oftentimes just for sex. Like I'm sure girls will have sex, but it's like one, they rarely want to make it public that they're just having sex casually.
Maybe.
And then
that's fair.
And I think a lot of that
Privacy
comes
is
from
private.
and I think a lot of it comes from perception because like women go into relationships, and I think it's just kind of how they're programmed to do a relationship because like having sex innately is gonna get a woman pregnant. So like they're usually programmed to want to be with a person that's gonna have a high level of investment in staying with them. Yeah. You know, they don't want to just be perceived as someone that's just opening their legs loosely. And I think that correlates one with their biology, and then two, with the fact that women look for auxiliary benefits from sex. It's like they don't want to just be with a person to have sex. They want to be with a person to fulfill like the emotional needs, the provider needs, like someone that they can talk to, someone that they feel can maybe solve their problems, make them feel safe when they go out. Because a lot of women, by themselves will feel unprotected in a world unless they have some type of like male or protective
like
figure.
A male mindset that would ultimately just feel pleasure and social status.
Exactly. Male mindsets are usually about, because gaining a lot of access to women sexually correlates directly with, a man's value, because all men know that getting sex from women, it's like an investment of time, and it's like not an easy thing to do. You're going to get a lot of rejections versus how many, yeses you get. And we all know that. So that's why innately a guy knows if I'm having a sex with a lot of women, that's like something you can immediately say to establish like, hey, I have game, I'm worth a damn, people respect me because, I can attain things that I know is really hard for men to attain easily.
Right, and the exact opposite is usually true for women, where it's like if she's getting passed around, then it's like, well, your value right in the dump.
It's the exact opposite because it's very easy for a woman to have sex, and most women know that, which is why even when a woman gets mad at another woman, they'll innately go to calling that woman a whore as an insult because they know deep down that type of behavior is looked at poorly even amongst themselves.
Oh, we gotta change these stigmas, man.
I mean, if on a flowchart basis, if that was the case, then we would have steadily decreasing women that are being ostracized for being called or for being promiscuous or being whores or having so many partners. But that doesn't really seem to be the case.
Well, you got to throw in the wild card here, man.
We got Sexy Red.
You got to throw in the wild. You got to throw in the wild card. Satan runs the world.
Okay, sure.
All
Let me finish my point.
Okay,
all I'm saying is the flow chart's in the opposite way. Right. Women are being whores, and it's far more acceptable than it's ever been before. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fascinating data, honestly.
Well, my thing
the
is
weight
this:
of
is it
conversation.
actually more acceptable? Because
No, it's not more acceptable. It's just
you
more
could say-
common.
By
It's,
other women.
it's certainly deemed more
And by
acceptable
other
by
men.
media and public.
Well, here's
Yeah,
the thing.
exactly.
I would say this.
Which is
I would
stigma.
gauge it because you
It's
can
happening.
gauge that based off of like how much is the discourse is around it. But I would think it's more effective to gauge it by results. If I correlated, if women being whores and being more promiscuous was more accepted being whores. I got those little crude. Yeah, I think women being overly promiscuous. I think if it was like something that was more acceptable and more liked, I think the marriage rates would be higher. Because that would mean that men are more accepting of this behavior than they were now that women are more promiscuous. But if you look at it at a time when women were more submissive and not as promiscuous, men were more willing to commit to them. Women having sex has gone up, but that's because men are sexually driven creatures. Of course, we're gonna want to like more men more guys are more amped to have sex with all these women, but are they more amped to stay with them long term? Because the women aren't
or
getting.
can they? Because
women
is
are-
it monetarily even possible?
The women are juggling
Yeah.
multiple men too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're juggling multiple men. They're talking to. They're getting DMs, texts from a ton of dudes.
For sure.
No, 100%. But that's what I'm saying though. It's
They get
not
more
like
play than
it's
us.
not
Yeah.
Far more
for.
play than us.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
hear-
saying, that's the issue because you think with
It is an
women
issue.
getting
It's
far
a big
more
issue.
attention than ever before, how come they're not able to like fulfill their long-term goal of having a long-term partner, which is
Because
what
they
all
were
want.
told they were told
It's
they
not
don't
their
need
goal.
to do
Because
that.
the goal is not prioritized.
That is not their
Absolutely.
goal
Yeah.
until they're like 30 plus now.
Okay, but even
see
when they
women
get to
in a
30
little
plus, it's like
crisis, like,
now
oh,
that they
shit.
want to, why can't they though? Why are they on antidepressants?
Sexy red.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely a factor. I mean, like I said, man,
Sure.
it's like
Absolutely.
it's like men need to do better and women need to do better. It's
Yeah,
like
but
the
that-
whole
I agree.
whole culture needs to do better. And the
need to.
only
No, we
thing-
gotta
Create that
blame
bond.
somebody. That's the easy way out.
Steve said it. The
Satan.
devil.
We gotta blame
Yeah, we said
somebody.
it. We got it.
Satan.
I mean,
man.
at the root of it all, it is Satan. But I will say that the women are mostly at fault. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
No, that's
Man,
not. You can't do
passing
that.
the buck.
You can't
Take
do that.
accountability.
You can't
Say
say
Don't
the
ignore your
women are
portion of
mostly
it.
at fault.
Yeah.
That it also kind of makes
Bro, the
you
women
seem-
raised all these kids, bro.
I knew I
That's
was going to be the
Right,
moms
but
have
okay.
to reprogram.
Okay,
men.
so the woman raised all these kids. Okay, so you gonna say that to the single mother who's raising all these kids by herself?
No,
you
I'm
know,
not.
she got all this other external
pass.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's who you blaming though. You're
No, but here's the
blaming that
thing, right?
woman.
The single mother, right?
we
The single mother raising the kid is like, so basically if the man actively was like, I'm going to leave you with this kid, then it's not the woman's fault. If the woman said, I am not going to stay with you in spite of this kid, it's the woman's fault. That's how I'd put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know what another factor is? What about the fact? I think like a lot of society is, it's built off of what women select for when it comes to partners, because at the end of the day, the women decide the type of men in society that they're attracted to, and those men will go on to basically reproduce and lead society. Do you think in the black community that women have a very bad? They're not good at picking or selecting for like the men to lead
Well,
the
that's
community?
obviously true, yeah.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's a situation where it's like, okay, the men
It's a product of
are
history.
motivated. It's like okay, so nowadays the men are more motivated to be wrong, and the women
Yeah.
are more attracted to what's wrong because the men are more motivated to be wrong. It's like
Yeah.
being wrong is popular,
Yeah.
and the women, as a woman, a woman's nature is to gradually
Be led by the men.
be led by the men and to go towards the men that's like the dominant. Like
Yeah.
and the wrong men are dominant in today's society.
Yeah.
It's like the men that's
Well, they're
doing-
aggressive.
they're aggressive, but what I'm saying is they on the top of the pedestal. It's like, you feel me? They on the top of the pedestal, so that's what women is looking towards.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's like, it might seem like, oh well, women are the problem, but it's really not. It's like, again, you can't really blame it on the woman or the man. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a lot of external
Bro,
factors.
here's
bro.
how
I
I
blame
put,
it on the
here's how I
external
put here's how
and Satan.
here's how I put it, right? Yes,
Just chalk it up
definitely Satan, but here's how I'm gonna put it, right?
Uh-huh.
And let's close this out soon, but I do want to make this point. So let's say that the women started, let's say all black women suddenly started liking dudes who got breast implants.
Oh.
That's the main thing that women are just attracted to that now. They will give it up to the men to get breast implants. And you get bonus coochie if you cut your parts off, right?
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna just spitball a number.
Okay.
65% of black men will be walking around with titties because they can't get coochie without them. They are going to do whatever is the norm to get them the most amount of women they can because the women select what is culturally relevant.
Why?
He's
right.
No, this is like when Trinity said that all the hard people would come out of prison with the BBL.
Yeah, that was a hypothetical.
I don't feel like women. So what was that last part you said?
Comedy.
You said women
drive what is in demand in the culture.
Well, yeah, sure.
No, I don't look at it like
they
that.
do.
I look at it like
sure.
women. It's not that women drive what's in demand. I feel like women are being misled at what is in demand, thus making it seem like it's in demand, but it's really not. I feel like it's external, bro.
It goes back to what Zoe said. You're
poppin'?
either gonna take responsibility for it, fix it within the culture, or you're gonna blame someone else, the white man. Or
bro, I feel like who is to blame is who is pulling the strings. Who is in charge of all of
cut the
this?
damn string.
That's true.
Who in charge
Who's
of all
orchid
this?
man?
Who's in the higher places? Who's in these
puppet
higher
master?
Bro, ain't nobody making
Who's
these hoes
approving?
give it up on the first day.
How do we cut the
approving
strings, though?
of
Who's the
sex
puppet
and red?
master? The men.
How do we
Who's
cut the
approving?
strings?
The men
Well,
are the
I will
puppet
say
masters.
this. I think that to what Steve was saying about like, whatever women will select for, the men will tend to adapt to meet those expectations. Like if you ask dudes at a college campus, how many of them joined with all the guys that joined fraternities, how many of them joined the fraternity because they were like, oh, I genuinely love the culture here? Or how many of them joined it just because they knew
Like
that's
Greek mythology.
Right.
Those were all the guys that they knew were fucking the most girls. Like they joined because they knew that's where all the girls went.
I am literally gonna engage in gay activity so I can get some coochie.
Yeah.
Basically is what a
But
frat
my
is.
thing is, women aren't doing anything but what they've been doing naturally. They choosing what's wrong is because what's wrong is being marketed as right.
Yeah.
And women are just choosing women are naturally going to choose the provider, the top of the whatever you want to call it. You feel me? That's what they're going to do naturally. And it's like what's being marketed as the apex is the wrong thing. And so that's why it's like I don't look at it as like, oh, well, it's like, all right, so guys are trying to portray themselves to be this certain type of way to get pussy, yes, and women want those guys because it seems like they are the top dogs, as women naturally would. They would want who's on top. You feel me? As opposed to
just one thing
who's
though.
pushing around.
Most of the men portraying the image are broke. The women aren't attracted to anything rational. They're just attracted to the image of something that they've seen, like,
Right, but I feel like you can't blame them because they are conditioned. I feel like the women of today are conditioned to be the way that they are, just like the men of today are conditioned to be the way that they are. And the only thing you can blame is an external factor like Satan. I mean, not saying that that's not the truth.
Spitting at this point.
Not saying that's
Bro, I'm not saying it's not Satan, right? But black men aren't going to go to church on their own.
Yeah.
White women got to take them. But I mean, this isn't a religious conversation.
White
Yeah.
woman?
Not
Well,
white.
I'm not saying Satan
Did I
is
say
an-
white men? What
You
the
said
fuck?
the white
No,
Bro.
black women have to take them to church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see,
Black-
black women have to have an incentive to go to church. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, and I'm not
They
saying
got 50 bodies and
But listen, bro, what
3 children. Go to church.
it's I feel like it's the culture, and
50, that's light.
black people aren't in control of their culture. Every other race is in control of the black culture except for black people. And what I mean by that is like, who's mass producing hair care products?
Yeah, we don't own the music. We don't own the hair.
We don't own the hair. Don't own the music.
Cooking.
Don't even own the schools.
rims.
Yeah.
You know,
You're telling
want
me
these-
black women don't own their own hair?
all this designer, all these designer clothes. You feel me? All these designer clothes.
Yeah,
Black
the
people
brands.
don't.
Some
black
Italian
people-
guy.
Exactly. So it's like that's really the problem, in my opinion.
right.
And
And-
I wouldn't blame it on either side because until both sides step out and see what's happening, that's the only thing that's gonna fix
It's
it.
not Sexy Red's fault. It's her record label.
Exactly. It's not her. She's just trying to make
But
money.
Oh, hell no.
Sexy
I
Red,
would
but Sexy Red
absolutely-
shouldn't have existed.
I would blame
She shouldn't
Sexy
have-
Red in
Yeah.
every.
God, no.
I would,
can't blame
That's
her.
like-
I
that's
would blame
that's
all
like-
the black people because here's the thing: if we wanted to take control of our ethnic image, we absolutely could. We don't want to because it's easier and more convenient to just buy it from the Korean girl who has the weave available instead of just growing your own damn hair. All right,
But you can't say that though.
You shouldn't have brought weave into this.
You
Zoe's
can't
about to
say
get
that.
heated.
Oh, God.
You can't say that though
I hate
because what if the Korean girl had the resources to be
Exactly.
able to even step in and do
That's like
that?
saying we can find our
she
own diamond
came off the
mines.
boat. All
You
right.
know?
We could just go
The
find our
only,
own
listen,
diamond
the only
mines
reason
out
the
there.
Korean girl has
And we'll
the
get it all
ability
done
to sell
ourselves.
hair to black women is because black women, I'll say black
Right, the
people.
Korean girl isn't needed in the entire
Korean-
thing.
Yeah, it's a low investment. It's like because the Korean girl literally just has to cut her own hair off and sell it to another group of women that wants to buy it. You know,
Well, my
if
thing
black
is-
women like their hair, they would be able to cut their hair off and sell it to some Korean girl who doesn't like her hair.
And
but
why
unfortunately,
don't
that's
black
not the
women like
dynamic.
their hair?
Huh? Why don't they like their hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, because I don't know, self-hate, I guess.
And why do they have self-hate?
Who taught them that?
Are we? Listen, I will not blame the white man for why I
I'm
don't
not
like my own
saying the
damn
white
hair.
man. See, that's the thing. I'm
do
not,
that.
in no way, shape, or form am I blaming the white man. I'm just saying a lot of black problems and issues come from black people not being in control of certain things that they should be in control of, especially the things that affect them the most.
Yeah, I agree.
If you cede control, then you have every single bit of responsibility for your lack of control.
That's true,
Wait,
but
you said
history
it, what?
history has been established from a
Exactly.
very, very, very long time ago, and you can't change that shit.
Exactly.
Wait,
Just
you
like
You
I
can't,
had
you can't just
told
snap
you.
your fingers and change history overnight.
You don't have to snap
That's
your
what
fingers, but it's not
I'm
like we're
saying-
all unaware.
Right, but
we
it takes
already
time.
know.
Like I
I
said,
mean,
the black
you can be
the black
aware of
culture
the
is
top
still
of a
very
staircase,
young.
but you still got to walk each step.
Black culture is very young still.
Right.
These things will take time.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And I feel like I had said, the
Period.
the machine
Period.
is like,
Point blank.
the machine works. You feel me? It's like it works and it continues to work to this day.
It's very strong.
So it's
a
like
strong machine.
It's a matter of this. You know, you got to dismantle at this point. You can't expect for like, okay, well, we all know the answers, but it's like people still ain't doing nothing to change anything. Where it's like you got to remember, like the machine works. It's like, quite frankly, everybody's too distracted to do anything.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna say something wild. It's gonna be about the weave thing. All right.
I want to know. Zoe tapped his hands
Yeah,
as
already.
soon as this came in.
I came to my mind.
He was like, "I'm so ready for this."
You had a brain
Yo,
blast.
I literally had a fucking
Pitch your brain blast, bro.
Because you asked me, you're like, why don't black women like their hair?
Okay.
And my thing is, I think black women, because think about it, black women for years have always made the argument that we can't wear our hair and we have to straighten our hair out because white society doesn't accept us to be in professional roles
Okay. Right.
nowadays, you know, and so we had to change.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, for years, that has never been a requirement. Black women have had the right to grow their own hair and wear it into an office as much as they want to their heart's content. And what the fuck do we see? We see women wearing weave more than we've ever seen it before. And I believe that is because black women have no desire to be attractive to black men, but they want to be attractive to other races of men. And they believe that having straight hair would do that. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at this woman right here on the TV, black women have been still having sex with children and laying up with black men all throughout history without having weave up until this point in history. So that means black men have never had an issue or demand for women to straighten their hair or wear it anything other than natural.
I'm not gonna lie. This woman looks terrible.
Bro, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
Wow,
She looks
Steve.
just like Sexy Red does right now.
Hey.
Bro, glasses and all.
crazy.
Her
Like
teeth
killing me.
pattern, I'm telling you,
I
like
feel
literally
like-
But here's the
everything.
thing. This woman still probably had kids with
no,
a black
she-
man.
Well, no, it's just like our expectations, like kind of like in the same idea we were talking about, where it's like, you know, we're conditioned, right? We're conditioned to be a little bit more attracted to a black woman with some straight hair.
No, we're not. What is
No,
it? No, I don't
true.
believe-
We are.
We also are conditioned to be more attracted to to Ice Spice then Sexy
I
Red.
love Ice
Well, wait a
Spice.
second.
Ice Spice.
I
You
see.
see-
I love Ice Spice, but Ice Spice,
Them cheeks.
and I've heard this. If Ice Spice was dark
She a
skinned,
munch.
if Ice Spice was dark skinned, she probably wouldn't be as successful as.
Oh, I
she
would
is.
love her too.
You're
Absolutely.
right. She
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
She wouldn't.
I
be.
would definitely love her.
A
too.
dark skinned girl with orange hair, that'd
No,
be
she
ridiculous.
I agree. But that's also because we live in a very mixed cultural society that was started upon the European foundation. So like innately, the more European you are, the more like inherent success you're going to have in any field in America. But what I'm saying is that if we only measured, like, if black women will say that black men would find them more attractive with weave or straightened hair, and I don't think that's true, because it's like you're trying to appeal to other groups, because I've never seen a black man say, I would rather my girl wear a weave than just wear her hair.
Hold on though, time out. I feel like it's a very important point that should be said in here, and I've heard it from many black women. A lot of times, black women wear a weave because it's easier to maintain than their own hair.
Yeah.
I've been with white women that have preferably put on weaves and wigs,
Yeah,
specifically
like I
for the
said,
same
white women
exact
do it
reason.
too.
Because it's easier to maintain than their own natural hair, not because they're
Yeah.
trying to not look like
Black
themselves
women's
or
hair is very
you
hard.
feel me?
I get that,
So-
but I would say the rate at which other races wear weave and wigs is nowhere as high.
Not even close.
No.
No,
as
it's
close.
not. But
Um,
I mean, yeah.
But it's,
And
it's
then-
a factor to consider
Yeah.
nonetheless.
And listen,
Who
I
do you
get
think has the
protective
worst hair to manage?
hairstylings, but let's be honest.
Think about a
Most
balding
women,
woman.
like if you, like most women, like if it was literally just like wearing a hat, okay, I'm like you wouldn't like. How come?
Who's gonna?
you,
Never mind.
go? Like Google 10 hood fights with like female hood fights and see how much weave and hair is just flying everywhere.
well,
Well,
All right.
it's a good fight.
It's not glued. It's not like sewn to their scalp.
All right, guys. So yeah, we had a little technical difficulty. Sorry for the quick pause there. It's gonna be edited, obviously, so you won't even notice it. But yeah, Zoe started yelling slurs, so we had to we had to cut it.
Just loud.
But basically,
I get a little rowdy sometimes.
So I am not necessarily convinced that it's not just specifically black women's fault. I mean, maybe 70-30, but I will say that I do think that relationship culture is almost artificially degenerated. So I'll give Roosevelt his flowers to an extent in terms of I do think that it is artificially degenerated, but I think that there is value in taking responsibility, right? When you're in a situation where it may not be your fault, it may not be your obligation, it may not technically be your responsibility, taking responsibility anyway seemingly would be the best way to change the situation. Because if no one takes responsibility, especially the oppressor, then it's definitely not going to change unless the oppressor just so happens to change their mind. So I actually learned that thought process from a very controversial guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Gary V.
The idea of just two things: accepting failure, taking responsibility, no matter what the circumstance. It is your fault, even if it wasn't, is kind of what he would say. And it might not make sense at first, but really think about it, right? If you claim it as your own fault, even if it's not, then the solution will probably come a lot sooner. So,
Okay. Can I get my when you're done?
yeah. No, Zoe.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. Well,
You shouldn't have said those slurs. You're cut off.
Cut off.
But all right, you can go.
Yeah, no, I would say, just to kind of get my last thoughts on it, I think what we see here and what we've been seeing, I guess, since the 70s, honestly, is a respect issue in the black community when it comes to relationships. I don't think the women respect the men. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such long discourse with us on why they should respect us and want to be submissive. I think from the men's side, it's, a lot of males, men's drive to be successful and gain things and want to be a leader is the expectation that at the end of it all, there's going to be the things that they want in life waiting for them. A lot of that will go into like an actual stable family that loves and looks up to and respects them, and a woman that does the same. But I don't think we feel like, we're going to get that out of our women the same way women don't feel like they're going to get a leader out of us. And I think because of those two factors, there's a lack of respect coming from both sides. And there's this withdrawal that we see where it almost seems like we don't even want to get along or that we're unwilling to compromise in any extent to reach that foundation. So I think if we can, find a way to resolve that, which isn't going to be easy because, respect is earned, it isn't taught. So in that regard, I think that's just gonna take a lot more. I don't know if discourse is gonna be is gonna solve it, but I think it's gonna take a lot more action, a lot more positive action. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere near that unless one, we start identifying our own issues in our community and actually make actions that are actually gonna lead towards better solution and stop relying on other groups to either take care of us or the government to give us handouts or looking to other groups to blame or trying to find, reasons to where, we try to say maybe this isn't an issue when we know it absolutely is. So I think it's just taking control of our own community and starting to actually like ourselves and each other a little bit more, I think will take us a lot farther than we think.
Yeah, I agree with Zoe completely. And, to that end, man, I think that we pretty much need a generation of bunny hopping. Just got to go out to the fields, bunny hop our little butts off.
Just get it.
All of us find a nice.
To our max exit, the Blexit part 2.
We need we need a Blexit. We need to go learn more about what their culture has in store, and then if we're gone long enough, maybe they'll start to miss us.
Yeah.
I think
and
then we can make our return.
Sounds a lot easier than what the hell I said. Let's go with that.
I'll take that plan.
Yeah. Make sure Dr. Umar sees this, guys. All right, we're going to close out. Thanks, everyone, for having such a voracious conversation about this issue. This was actually probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. I just thought about it. Can we have a full episode about weave one day?
Man, that might break the internet, so I don't know.
I'm ready.
The computer couldn't take that much data.
Yeah, no, we probably could do that. Sure, why not?
Hey.
In fact, I'm thinking about cutting this episode into parts.
Yeah, we can
but
do that.
Either way, thank you guys for watching. Once again, we do got some strikes on the channel, so we're kind of trying to keep it, PC to an extent. I mean, we can talk about stuff like this easily. But yeah, thanks for watching. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, etc. Also, social media, The Cold Podcast. It's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, and Facebook. Patreon, $5 a month gets you access to the entirety of My Black Friends podcast. That is our old show that we still kind of do here and there. It's more of a comedy-based show, less serious discussions. And, there's a backlog of like 80 episodes. But anyway, thanks for popping in. We got to pop out of here.
All right. Peace.